What's up, guys? Welcome to the VeVe Vault. It's Saturday night and I wanted to bring you guys a video showing you how I buy and sell stuff on the in-app marketplace. I haven't been doing it for long, but I've heard a lot of people making money off of it, so I decided to give it a try myself this week, and it's gone pretty well. As you probably noticed before the drop, a lot of the prices were going down on the marketplace, and I, like everybody else, was saving my gems up for the drop, and it looks like people were stacking their gems up for that drop, but there weren't very many additions coming up, so I had a feeling that afterwards a lot of people were going to have gems left over and the marketplace was going to be on fire. So I decided to start buying some stuff as soon as the marketplace opened after the drop and start flipping, and I got most of it on video. I didn't start recording until about halfway through, but I'll give you a rundown of how it went, and you'll see some of the flips I made, some of the good decisions and some of the bad decisions, and some of the stuff that I wish I would have grabbed, but people were quicker than me, of course. Before we get into it, though, I wanted to start off with some information about drops. This is a tip that I learned recently. I know a lot of people already know this, and it's not a new news or anything, but I myself consider myself computer savvy, a little computer savvy, and I didn't know about it until I heard about it right before the drop this week. So the problem that a lot of people experience during drops is lag. And whether it be before the drop or during the drop, you got lag on your app, and it's always slowing you down and making it harder to get your ultra rares on drop day, of course. So one thing that you need to remember is that whenever you're putting stuff in your vault, whenever you add a new NFT to your vault, you have to download that the image onto your phone. You're not actually downloading the NFT, but you're downloading the image of it. And when you start downloading and put them all into your vault, that starts to clog up your app a little bit and slow it down. So as you'll see here, whenever I'm putting Blossom in for the first time, I have to download it. And then if I go into my settings and go into my files, and you can see where if you look into the total size, it's 103 megabytes. And if you were to look into what's downloaded and what's not, the one with the green dots obviously are the ones that's already downloaded onto your app. And I have a lot of them, I have 100 megabytes. So if I clear them all off, I'm not losing anything. I can always download them back. But now they're all red. I have 0 megabytes on my phone, and the app's running a whole lot faster. So this is something you should probably do right before drop day. If you want to put them back, download them again on your vault, there's a button to download all again. But it's going to make your app run a lot faster, as you can see. Okay, before we get into that, I did take a look through David Yu's Instagram recently, and sometimes if you click on his most recent pictures and you look at people's comments and see what he replies to them, you can get some information from that. For example, here you can see where somebody asked about Season 2, and Mr. Yu said that they're going to be back, they're aiming to be back next week, so that implies that there'll be a drop Thursday, so we're hoping, or maybe even Tuesday if there's 2 next week. Somebody here also asked, is it a project for VeVe to create NFTs that will be uploadable into video games? And David Yu said that's their vision. So thinking about NFTs that you can upload into video games, of course you've probably seen the Street Fighter 2 demos, which is something that would be like. Somebody here asked, what about the big announcement? Of course a lot of people keep hearing about this big announcement. Is it still planned for May, or is it going to be delayed? And he said that they were working on it, which is nothing new there, which is #soon. And then somebody else asked, is there any other surprises coming in the following days? If you were paying attention, you probably noticed that the Ripmo is now animated. That was the surprise David Yu had been mentioning recently, and now this person asked if there's going to be some more surprises in the next few days, and Mr. Yu said that they're working on it. So that makes me think that maybe they're going to be animating some more of the NFTs. I know somebody else asked about the Todd Batman being animated, and Mr. Yu replied with 100% emoji, so that's a good sign. And I think the Todds have gone up on the marketplace a lot ever since that as well, and the price. Okay, one thing that I used a lot of while sniping on the market the last couple of days is having items that I want to sell and not even really changing the price by much, just changing it by a penny, but refreshing the listing by canceling it and then starting it again, which doesn't cost anything, and that brings it back up to the front of the listing queue, so the people that are watching that see that first, and people that are on that screen see it. If you go into some of those Dragon Girls right after the drop, you know, a whole lot of people put those up for auction, and right now you can't filter out the auctions. So if you're trying to find the floor, the lowest price, buy it now, you have to scroll for a long time. And a couple of times I tried to scroll on those, it took so long that it froze up and I had to exit out of the app. So a lot of people who are just wanting to buy quickly, they're not able to go through there. They don't have the patience, and maybe their phone freezes. So they're just going to go to this new listing page and see what pops up. So if you're just refreshing your listings every 10 or 15 minutes, they're going to have more opportunity to be seen and have a higher chance of being sold. So that's one thing that I did a lot of, and it seems to have paid off a little. Okay, yeah, so on Thursday before the drop began, I deposited 150 gems into my account. I was hoping that this information right here would let you know what my total was the entire time, but it doesn't seem to be very accurate because it says I was negative at times, and I don't ever remember being negative. But once we get into the part that I recorded, we'll be able to keep track of the gems better. So after I deposited that 150 gems, I got 2 of the uncommon dragon girls during the drop. I tried to get the ultra rare, of course, and I got into waiting to queue or waiting to reserve twice, but neither time did I get that, and I think the rare was sold out by the time I got to that. So I went ahead and picked up 2 of the uncommons, and as soon as the marketplace opened up, I went ahead and grabbed another uncommon. I think that was 73 gems. So I had 3 uncommons to start, and I started putting them up for I want to say 78 and 88, 78.88 gems, and they sold pretty quick like that. So when I saw another one for 70, I grabbed that as well, and then sold a couple more there. And at that point, I had a couple hundred gems in my account, and I saw a Cosmic Cthulhu for 200 with the serial number 0235. So I picked that up, and I tried to flip it for about 250 and 240, and it never did go. But as soon as I put it at 235, it did sell, which you'll see up here in a second. At this point, I decided to throw in a couple of my extra ones that I had doubles of. So I threw in a Thunderbird and a Twilight Mothman. Thunderbird was going up a little bit more than usual, so I figured that was a good time to sell. I think I bought it for under 40. And then I saw a Darwin Cook Batman and picked that up, and another uncommon Dragon Girl, and sold that Cook Batman and then another Dragon Girl from earlier before. And that's when I started picking up the Fumos and the Pepperinos. After the Ritmo became animated, I thought that people might expect for all of the Unicornos to be animated and to start picking up the uncommons and maybe the rares. So I decided to go ahead and start picking up Pepperinos and Fumos. Okay, so as soon as I had that Cthulhu for about 30 minutes, it was sold for 235, and then I picked up a Tropicana for 50 and a Muka, and I think that was kind of a bad buy because obviously I sold it real quick for probably less than I bought it for. And then I picked up another D Cook Batman and sold it, and picked up another Pepperino. I was basically keeping the floor of Pepperino at 50, and anybody that would list theirs lower than mine, I would just buy theirs. And then I picked up a Tropicano. I'm sorry, I sold that Tropicano for $47.65 that I picked up over here for $48.55. So that was obviously a bad purchase. And looks like I sold one of my Fumos for about 50. And then I bought another Fumo for maybe 48. Somebody tried to undercut me. Same with Pepperino. And got that Finn Martin. So at this point, I believe we are into the video now. Actually, I wasn't sure what the floor was on that, so I decided to go and look and make sure that it was a good buy, and it was. I think the floor was at 35, so I went and picked that up and put that right up for sale again. That put me down to 142. And as you can see here, I still had a couple Pepperinos and a couple Fumos. And I found another Cook Batman. I hadn't sold one for a while, so I wanted to make sure the floor was still high. That one was about $10 less than it should have been, so I went ahead and picked that up as well. Looks like that takes me down to $97, 97.42 gems. And I'll put that up for 49.33 to start. And it looks like something sold right there as well. We'll keep track of all of it. At that point, I saw a for 58 gems, and I figured that was got to be too low, so I went and checked, and it looked like the floor was 65. There were 2 58s though, so I went ahead and picked up both 58s and set the floor back at 63, so that I went ahead and made a quick profit, because black and white Batmans I think are going to sell pretty fast, especially to new people whenever they get in here. There was a moment here where I wasn't recording, and I made a couple flips that I couldn't remember exactly. I know I picked up an extra Pepperino and flipped that. At that point, I saw this Nessie for 1 gem, and I was not quick enough to get to it. I tried though. It was gone. That happened a few times last night. There's a Fumo for 37. That would have been sweet. But no. No, sir. As you can see, I have 4 pepperinos at this time. Like I said, I was setting the floor at $49.99. One of them popped up for 37. I tried to grab that. Was not quick enough. There was a few snipes that I got that was pretty good that you had to be quick on, I believe. Here was this D-Cook. At this point, the price was starting to come down, and I wanted to make sure I was still getting a profit on it, so I threw it up for $45.98, and it pretty much insta-sold on that. And I think that was still a profit. We'll have to check. At that point, I saw this Dragon Girl, and it took me a second to realize it was an uncommon because it was $61.99. I thought it was the commons, but so I was too slow on that. Alright, I saw the Perla for 16. That's a great buy. So try to get that as fast as I could, and surprisingly, I actually got one. Boom, for 16. Is that what it was? And that took me down to 196.41. Saw a Bigfoot for 5. I figured that'd be a quick buy, but not quick enough, so we didn't get that one. At that point, I was all unicornoed out, and I started noticing that the Dragon Girls, the common Dragon Girls, were going up fast last night. They were going for 60 or more just back to back. So as soon as I saw one for 53, I grabbed it to test that market out real quick. I put it up for $59.99 and nothing happened. So about 10 minutes later, I switched it up to $59.97. And once I did that, it sold right away. Boom, gone. So once I saw that, I decided to go check the floor to see if there's any down here that I should pick up real quick. There were 3 at 53. I didn't want to grab all 3 of them, but I decided to go and grab 2. Figured I could get 60 bucks each or close to it for both of them. So I picked those up real quick and put them back up for $59.99. Here's a number 5500. Yeah. So I picked that up for, it was number 5500 for 60 gems, which is near the floor at that time for the common, plus it's a great serial number. So I put it up for 69.69 gems, hoping to get a quick sell. At that point, I'm at 110 gems. It didn't sell right away, so I switched it up to 65.55. Give that a try. Not a very big profit, but a quick sell. So I got rid of that one. At that point, I had 2 Fumos and 2 Pepperinos, and I'm at 174 gems. Let's see, I had 2 of the commons, so I went in and put them both up at the same time. It looks like one of them sold. Oh, no. All right. No, what happened right there is I went to bed, and before I went to bed, I put everything up at the lowest price I would take for it, the highest price at the floor. And when I woke up, everything was sold except for one of my commons. So all the Pepperinos and Fumos sold. And then as soon as I got up, I saw a Dragon Girl for 50, and I assumed that they were still up to about 58 to 60 on the floor, so I went ahead and grabbed her for 50. I saw this one for 88. It was 1007, so I went in and picked that up as well. I figured that was a pretty good serial number. Put it back up for $99.99, hoping to get a nice quick sell, and surprisingly it did sell real quick, so that was a good profit. And I still had 2 commons left. One of them was the one that I had just purchased for 50, and one was the one from last night. And then one of those sold real quick. At that point, I saw a Corsica for 187, and I decided to check to see what the floor was. And it looked like it'd maybe be a quick $5 to $10 flip because people seem to always be looking for Corsica. But this one took a long time to sell. It was morning time, and it just was not selling. Now, when it comes to selling stuff on the auction, that's something I think I need to do more often, is purchase some of these good serial numbers for floor price and then auction them off at floor price, and I would assume that they're going to go for, you know, at least 25% more. I didn't have it recorded, but I did pick up this Cthulhu with the low serial number, $7.99 for 20 gems, and I put it back up for $27.99. And then right after that, I saw this Dragon Girl here, and it took me a minute, as you can tell, to believe that's what I was looking at. Well, I'm sure it wasn't an auction. Obviously the person tried to make it an auction, but they pushed the wrong button and somebody bought that for 99 cents, but it wasn't me. I was not quick enough. I was shocked or something. So yeah, somebody got that for 99 cents. I just sat there and looked at it for a second, and at that point I had 278 gems and a Corsica, I believe. Did see the Bigfoot for 8. I figured I can get 10 for it. Maybe I'll grab that real quick. And I was able to grab that because nobody else was probably going for it, but I think I did make some change off of it. We'll have to see. And then I saw the Stay Puff for 166. Now, I hadn't looked at Stay Puffs recently. I already own a Stay Puff, but at 166 I figured that's got to be a good deal, so I grabbed that real quick. And that took me down to 104.77. I put it back up at 188.88, trying to get a quick sell. And it did not sell right away. So about 10 minutes later, I changed it up and put it for 185. And I also put the Corsica up at 185 at that point. And the Stay Puffed sold right away, but not the Corsica. Boom. 310. Pay no attention to the drop downs. This is my 10-year-old's phone. Okay, I did purchase a rare Dragon Girl right after that. I had some extra gems. Let's see, I was at 310, and it seemed like the Dragon Girl floor was up to about 325 or 350. It was going up. So I picked one up for 300, and that took me down to 1927. But unfortunately, it took a long time for the Dragon Girl to sell, just like the Corsica. And for both of those, I had to take losses on just to get rid of them. The floor was coming down, and I wanted to get out of them and maybe use those gems to flip something that I was more sure on, instead of just sitting there waiting for it to come back. I'm sure it will come back up to that price, and eventually I could make a profit off of it, but if it's a week, in that week's time I could be flipping other stuff. So I went ahead and sold that for 285, took a loss on it. Or actually, I had it at 285. I actually put the price up to 289.99, which is a refresh, and puts it back on the front screen for people to buy, and that's when it sold right away. And I ended the day with 477.49 gems. And like I said, I made some bad decisions, but I did find some good flips, and hopefully some people learned a few things from it. So have a good week, guys. See y'all next time. VeVe Vault is out.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.